Welcome back, y'all, to the NFL on ABSN. And today we're continuing our preview, and we getting into the AFC North. Man, it's a lot going on in the AFC North,
Yes, it
man.
is.
I'm telling you, man, this is gonna be real interesting right here, man. Y'all stay tuned, man. You know what it is, man. Me and your boy NYG22, Big Pat Sports Talk, Coach Ed Gladney. We're gonna give you the rundown, man, right after the intro. Let's get it.
Rising King, the Raisin Man.
All right, man. Let's get into it, man. And we're gonna set it off here with the Baltimore Ravens, man. The Baltimore Ravens, man, doing the NFL preview show here with the AFC North, man, setting it off with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, last year, Ravens 12-5. You know, we know Lamar Jackson is legit. John Harbaugh, probably a future Hall of Fame coach, but they just have not been able to get over the hump. That hump being the Kansas City Chiefs, in particular, and they came up short again last year. But BetMGM got them at 11.5 on the win total this year. But what are your thoughts about the Ravens and some of the issues they've been having as far as getting to that championship level that they want to be at, that their expectations are there in Baltimore for them to be a Super Bowl contending team, but yet they have not gotten there with, in particular, this combination of Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. Talk to him, Coach Pat. What's the deal with the Baltimore Ravens, man?
The deal with the Baltimore Ravens is, man, it's self-inflicted wounds, man. They're a super good team. They started off slow last year. I think they started off like 0-2 last year with a hapless loss to the Raiders, and it was just crazy last year, man. And then they went on a historic run, man. They went on a historic run, and everybody knows in the NFL, man, that the Ravens are the creme de la creme when it comes to exciting plays. Their offense is amazing. Their run game was amazing last year. And when they got to the playoffs, they did very well until they met the Chiefs with self-inflicted wounds. Lamar Jackson with some turnovers. Mark Andrews with 2 crucial drops and a fumble. You know, it's just weird with the Ravens, man. I don't see why they haven't won a championship yet. They have arguably the best quarterback in the league. They have arguably the best running game in the league, arguably one of the best defenses in the league, arguably one of the better coaches in the league. So it's just a weird thing that happens to them when they get in the playoffs. And that's a reflection of Lamar Jackson. As much as I love Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, as a person, as a player, when it comes to the playoffs, he pretty much, you know, lays an egg sometimes. Now, was last year all his fault? No. After he did his turnover, he got it together. And then Mark Andrews, the guy on the screen, he did his turnover. So it's like, it's just weird on how they do things over there in the playoffs, and that's why they continue to struggle. But Coach, man, what you got about the Ravens, man?
I mean, the Ravens, I mean, you guys hit it on the head, in terms of, the ability to get over the hump. Those turnovers at critical junctures, it really takes away from, a season that, was extremely productive. Why they can't get over the hump, it is baffling. You have the talent, whether it's offensively, at times defensively. You have talented players. Why they're not able to close out? Pat, you said it. It points to Lamar. Harbaugh has won a championship at least, so you can say he has gotten there. So the next logical assumption is it Lamar? Now, I'm not taking anything away from Lamar Jackson. I mean, his overall abilities. I mean, if you take a look at Baltimore overall last year, Pat, you can pull up the stats. You can see that overall passing, they had over 4,000 yards passing. They even had 3,100 yards rushing. I mean, if you go and you take a look at the league rank in terms of their offensive rank, in terms of yards, they were number one. I mean, that speaks volumes to the type of offense that they have in reference to their offensive abilities. I mean, if we could take a look at, Lamar Jackson, you see, what he was capable of doing as an offensive producer. 4,172 yards rushing, 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I mean,
crazy.
That's
crazy. That's elite status right there. I mean, now if we go in and we break down also their rushing attack, over 3,000 yards. Derrick Henry, 1,900 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson, another 900 yards. Again, 30 over 3,000 yards rushing yards, 4,000 yards passing, 7,000 yards in total offense. So it's production there. But why? Like Pat said, those missed with Andrews, the missed touchdown reception or fumble. I'm sorry. Things of that nature. What is it? The guys can't handle the pressure, because we see the offensive production is there. We see this team is an elite team. So I'm finished with the stats, Pat. So there you go. It's just really baffling when you sit down and you look at the Baltimore Ravens, because they should have another touchdown. I mean, another Super Bowl, at least one more. Under the Lamar Jackson era, they should. Now, is it a product of you just got the Chiefs in your conference? Is it about the Chiefs? Because because you can also argue that with another team that we're not talking about today, but there's some good teams in the AFC. So is it that it's just because of the Chiefs? Because we see the production is there. And they've also had the opportunity to have home field advantage. So it's not always you got to travel at those critical junctures. So is it the Chiefs? Because right now, logically, and everyone says the quarterback is the reason why you win and the reason why you lose. So yes, they're going to point to Lamar. I'm not saying it's strictly Lamar. It's a team sport. So again, is it about the Chiefs because they're in the same conference? So what do you guys think?
Yeah, man. I do think it is a lot about the Chiefs, man, but you can't point to the opponent. You got to beat the opponent. That's your job. You got to take down the Chiefs, and you cannot blame the Chiefs for doing what the Chiefs do. Beat them. I mean, so I do think this team has work to do, and they have been getting busy though in this all season. And we're gonna take a look at that. Strength of schedule ranking 9th. So it's gonna be tough for Baltimore. We'll get into the schedule a little bit later, but let's look at some of the pieces that they lost. All right, starting here with the key losses for the Ravens. As we take a look here, big name stands out to me, man. Patrick McCarry. Going to the Jaguars. Josh Johnson leaving for the Commanders. Nelson Aguilar still a free agent. Deontay Johnson heading over to the Browns. Deontay Johnson to the Browns. They lost Malik Harrison to the Steelers. Brandon Stevens to the Jets. Tre'Davious White, that's a big name, going over to the Buffalo Bills. One name, though, we do have to talk about. Kicker Justin Tucker. With some legal things going on. So Justin Tucker, we don't talk a lot about kickers here, but he is one of the premier kickers in the NFL. Has been for years, and this thing that they got going on, Justin Tucker not being there, man, that could be a thing here for the Ravens, man. But what are your thoughts? Who do you think is some of the big losses here that they have as we take a look at this list?
Just looking at it, I can't really say Justin Tucker's a huge loss because of the legal issues that he's going through. You already knew that was going to happen. But, Patrick McCarry, you got Chris Board to the Giants. Their special teams ace Malik Harrison is actually an underrated linebacker, and I think he's going to be a beast over there with the Steelers. So they're going to have to see him twice a year. And Brandon Stevens for the that's going over there to the Jets. He got toasted a little bit last year, but he still was one of their main defensive backs that they had last year going into the playoffs, and he made some key plays for him. So not too much of a hurting list. Michael Pierce retiring, that kind of hurt them too, because that's one of the big guys in the middle to stop that run. But it's not too many losses here, man. Coach, what you think?
Me, it always starts with the trenches. And Baltimore has always been known for, having good trenches on both sides of the ball. So McCarry is a big loss, especially with the offensive production when we just went over the stats, especially in the run game. You need guys that can move the line of scrimmage, and, his contributions to helping open the lanes for Derrick Henry to get into the rushing lanes and to be productive. That's key. So I do think it's important there, with his loss, and how do you replace him? What do you do to replace him? And then, of course, the board to the Giants in terms of special teams, because with Tucker, you losing Tucker and now Board, again, that's special teams. That's a key component to, what you're trying to do as a team, because football is not only offense and defense. It's 3 levels, it's 3 layers, and special teams can help change the whole dynamic of a game. So, losing Board definitely is going to hurt, defensively. Harrison, White, and then Stevens, that hurts you going into your second and on the back end of your defense. So, how do you replace these players? That's also going to be a big factor. But right now, that's a key thing right now in terms of their losses.
Yeah, they had 3 cornerbacks. As you mentioned here, 3 cornerbacks, man, that they lost here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they replace some of the pieces in that secondary. But let's get to it. So looking at some of the additions that they made here in free agency, guys, of course, re-signing back Derrick Henry, Rashad Bateman getting an extension. So they pretty much, taking care of a lot of their guys. Ronnie Stanley re-signed. Jair Alexander, Chidobe Azui. Not sure. But anyway, man, who do you think stands out on this list, man? When you look at some of the additions that the Ravens made here in free agency?
It's really not the additions, to be honest with you. The one main addition is Jair Alexander. Now that helps them out a lot. Losing Brandon Stevens and bringing Jair Alexander, that's a no-brainer. But Rashad Bateman coming back, Derrick Henry coming back, Ben Cleveland coming back, Ronnie Stanley coming back. Like, they kept all their teams. I mean, all their main guys. So look for them to do some of the same things they did last season. Rashad Bateman actually got better. I mean, you do have a veteran at D-Hop to teach those guys how to be professionals and go out there and make clutch catches for them. He'll do that for them next year. But this is going to be the same team that's going to be rocking and rolling this year, man. What you think, Coach?
One of the key players, key additions, or key players to keep, to be honest with you, Patrick Ricard, the fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, he plays a big part in what they do offensively and helping Derrick Henry in the running lane. So, you guys hit all the other key ones. Cleveland, re-signing your offensive lineman. I spoke about it earlier in terms of losses. They had a good offensive line. So, you got to keep Cleveland, notable Stanley, that definitely helps. Adding Alexander, is definitely very helpful. And then, you know what? Cooper Rush as a backup quarterback. I mean, you don't want to, say, oh, is he on the same par as Lamar Jackson? No, but you still need a backup quarterback that if he has to come in for a game or two, you can trust that he's going to help lead the team. And Cooper Rush has proven that in this league. We as Giants fans, there are times where we've watched him like, how? But he's helped that team win. So, that's extremely important to, this Baltimore Ravens team with all these contracts that they have bringing in or re-signing.
Yeah, Coach, man. D-Hop, though, like DeAndre Hopkins, man, does he still have it, man? Can he get some chemistry with Lamar Jackson, man, and open up that passing game a little bit more, man, for the Baltimore Ravens here? The passing game has let them down in certain, particularly their pass catchers. As Pat mentioned, Andrews with the drops, and of course, my man was it Flowers, man, the previous season. But let's take a look at who they picked up in the draft. Speaking of, first round pick for the Baltimore Ravens was Makari Starks. Safety out of Georgia, with the 27th pick. Like this Mike Green pick, man. Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. I think this is a Mike Green projected first round pick, slid to the second round. Ravens got a steal there, I believe. Also got a steal with Emory Jones Jr., tackle out of LSU. Teddy Buchanan, linebacker out of California. Carson Benson, tackle out of Alabama. So Ravens attacking the trenches, man. I know Coach will like that. Bilal Cone, cornerback. So they pick up a corner in the 6th round. They had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-round picks. A kicker. There you go. Tyler Loop out of Arizona. LeJohntay Webster. People familiar with out of Colorado. Aeneas Peebles, D tackle out of Virginia Tech. I think that's a sneaky good pick up as well. Robert Longerbeam, Rutgers. There you go, Coach. And Garrett Dillinger, guard out of LSU. That's a sneaky good pick.
That's a sneaky good pick.
The Ravens had a very, very solid draft. They had a lot of draft picks too, so able to add to their team while also not losing a lot, as we just mentioned, man. But what's your thoughts on the Ravens draft, man? I think it's pretty dang on good. But talk to him.
What I like about their draft is their second round pick, Mr. Mike Green. I think he's going to be a dominant edge rusher for them in the coming years, man. He looks like a Raven. He plays like a Raven. I think he's going to be pretty doggone good for the Ravens this upcoming season. Then Malakar Starks in the first round at safety. That was my second favorite pick of them because they needed a safety help to go back there with Hamilton. So he's gonna be decent out there with them. Those two young guys right there are gonna get it done for the Ravens this upcoming season. And I like a couple of other picks like Teddy Buchanan from California. I think he's gonna be a solid linebacker for them. And they just have good linebacker coaches over there with the Ravens. So, and they did a lot of things. Well, Jonte Wester, he can be sit on the bench for a year and he can come in and do what he does after learning from a D-Hop or somebody like that. But Coach, what you like about their draft this past season?
Where do I always go? Offensive line. And you see three offensive linemen. Two of them played together at LSU, and Jones and Dillinger. So that you're bringing in draft picks with a sense of continuity. NYG, you always talked about the quarterback and the receivers. Get the quarterback guys that he's familiar with. Well, these guys can come into the Baltimore system and they can learn together, and they know each other. They might even have certain little codes because sometimes as offensive linemen, we have a certain language that we'll talk to each other that the opposition may not pick up on. So, and they're also familiar with how each other plays. So, I like the Wester pickup. Pat, you spoke about Green, coming off of those the edges. So, how do they develop him? That's another key factor. Look, Robert Longerbeam, I know him, following him at Rutgers, played very well in the Big Ten. Was the number one cornerback for Rutgers last year. So he went up against some talented receivers. So he's not afraid. He can also get on special teams, and he can give you he can be impactful in coverage and also in the return game. So that's why he actually started at Rutgers and developed and then got onto the field. So smart kid, played high school ball actually in Virginia. So he's from the Virginia area, so he has that type of innate ability to go out there and play and be smart. So overall, I'm with you guys. I like this draft for Baltimore. They attacked. They not only attacked, a couple of pieces that you were like, okay, when they lost a few pieces, but they brought with them young talent that they can develop not only for this year but down the road. So
yeah, definitely, Coach. Speaking of down the road, man, let's take a look at their depth chart and let's see how this roster looks, and let's see if it is built for the future and to get the most out of this window, this championship window that they have. Looking at their wide receiver core, you're talking about D-Hop, Rashad Bateman, and Zay Flowers. I think that's solid.
Yeah,
that is solid. You know what I'm saying? Tez Walker, last year's draft pick, he's there. Tylen Wallace and Wester, as we just mentioned. So they got a solid group, I believe, there at the wide receiver positions. Offensive line, again, this is key. Coach always talks about Ronnie Stanley, who they brought back. They got Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Lindenbaum, Daniel Falele, and Roger Rossengardner. But again, it's going to be a lot dependent upon this group to establish the run game. Some good backups, though. They did add some depth there, and they really attacked that position in free agency as well. So good job there by the Ravens. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely at tight end. Those two guys just need to be consistent, man. But when they're consistent and they're on their game, they're two of the best combination in the league. Probably the best combination of tight ends as far as a 1-2 punch is concerned. Derrick Henry and you know what I'm saying? Can't say enough about Derrick Henry here. Lamar Jackson, we know what he does, and Patrick Ricard, the fullback, a very key component in their running attack. This defense, though, I think is going to be key as far as how far the Ravens go. I want you guys to speak on that. I want you guys to speak on this roster as well. But talk a little bit about the defense and what is this group good enough to carry this team, man, as far as getting them to that championship level?
Yeah, the Ravens, as far as defensive wise, they're legit, man. The Ravens are legit as far as defensive wise. They're gonna get after the quarterback. They're gonna make solid tackles. They're gonna get interceptions. They're gonna do a lot of things as far as the defense. You know, it's all about to be honest with you, bro. This whole roster is legit. They just got to stop the self wounds when they get in the playoffs. That's it. If they stop the self-inflicted wounds when they get into the playoffs, they can beat teams like the Chiefs. They can beat teams like the Bills. It's really up to them. Like what do they have like anxiety or something when it comes to the playoffs or something? Like it's kind of weird, bro. Like the regular season, they look unstoppable. After they had that one little hiccup in the beginning of the season, they look pretty. They were like 12-3 after those first two games. You know what I'm saying? And they get to the playoffs, they punish the first team, and then they just get to the Bills, and it just, I don't know, man. It's always a fumble. You know what I'm saying? It's always a drop pass or an uncharacteristic interception, throwing into triple man coverage, or, you know, they just get away from Ravens football when they get into the playoffs. Run the ball. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have Lamar Jackson to be the superstar. Run the ball. But roster-wise, I can't say anything bad about this roster from top to bottom. It's a legit roster, man. Coach, I don't know.
Coach, what do you think? What do you think about this roster? And in particular, you know, now they got a good secondary. You know, you talk about Cal Hamilton. They drafted Malachi Stark, signed Jair Alexander, so Marlon Humphrey's still there. Talk about the linebacker core, Roquan Smith, Trent Simpson, Kyle Van Noy, Pat Call, Old Man Van Noy. He's still over there. But, you know, up front, Broderick Washington, Travis Jones, Matabuke. I mean, again, you know, their problem is the Chiefs. That's what we've been talking about, right? So that's why I'm looking at it too, not just the offense, but can this defense stop Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, or even, you know, a Josh Allen type? Talk to him, Coach.
One thing before I dive into all of that is I just bringing this up. You showed me something too. I talked about familiarity with the offensive linemen for coming over from LSU that they drafted. Robert Longerbean has a teammate from Rutgers on the team. Desmond Igbinosun came over. He played last year with Rutgers with Robert. So I'm surprised to see that. So, and I forgot that he did sign there. So, you know, that can also help both of them going forward. Defensively, this looks like a very strong defensive team. So, you know, it's going to come down to their execution, first of all, and getting over the hump. And getting over the hump is not even the physical aspect, it's the mental aspect. Because during those critical moments, when things get tight, do you start to feel the pressure and start to say, oh boy, here we go again, as opposed to, you know what, we have this, we can fight through this, we can do what we have to do. Overall, Pat said it, this is a championship caliber team. This really is. So, you know, based on all of that, you know, being coached up, the young players developing and contributing to, you know, what this team has. And really it's heavily veteran laden, especially in the starting group. You have one young player in Malachi Stark projected to start. You know, so, you know, that's the thing that you want to do. Most of them are in the second unit, so that's where player development comes into play. But if they all can give you something, this is definitely a championship caliber program going forward. So the expectation is even higher now, you know, and it comes down to, I said it before, and you were right when you said it's not about the opponent per se, but sometimes it is about the opponent. You know, you don't want to give the opponent credit, but sometimes it just falls down to you still got to respect the opponent. And you know, when you're playing against a championship caliber opponent, and it gets to those critical moments, and a team like this in the past has wilted under those situations, they have to overcome that. And right there, it's 90% mental, in my opinion. It really is, because this team has the physical tools to win a championship.
Yeah, well said, Coach. And speaking of opponents, you know, I talked about it earlier. They got the ninth as far as toughest strength of schedule. We know that doesn't mean it's not the end all be all, because you know teams change and it is based on off last year, but 11 and a half for this Ravens squad is their projected win total. You know, we go over under here, man, but just taking a look at the schedule real quick, they open up at Buffalo. That's a tough one off the rip. Then you get Cleveland, Detroit at the crib, then Kansas City. We've been talking about these teams that this Ravens team has to step up and start to challenge and beat, and that's Kansas City 1, you know, Buffalo 2. They got Houston on the schedule. That's going to be another contender. Well, some people think so. You know, you got the Rams on the schedule. You know, Pittsburgh in your division, Cincinnati in your division. So you know they're at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh to end the season. You know, you got Minnesota on your schedule. So again, it's the Ravens are gonna earn it this year. But 11 and a half though, too high, too low, over or under, man? What y'all think about this schedule?
Well, first and foremost, there's a couple of things I want to say about this schedule. Weeks 3 through 6, Detroit, Kansas City, Houston, Rams, and weeks 13 through 18 is a gauntlet. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. You get a reprieve in New England, and Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Now, if Pittsburgh, you know, turns out to be what Pittsburgh is, a scrappy team that always finds their way in the playoffs, those are going to be some tough games. Cincinnati twice, tough games. Green Bay, tough game. Then you got Detroit, Kansas City, Houston, and the Rams back to back to back to back. Those are the two spurts in this season where it's going to determine what this Ravens team is about. 11 and a half, I'm going to go over 11 and a half because it's just what the Ravens do. And they run the ball. So that's why when they do play tough teams, they can beat those tough teams because they run the ball extremely well. And Derrick Henry has not slowed down at all. So I give them above the 11 and 5. I'll give them the usual 12 to 13 wins this season. But it is going to be a tough schedule, and it is going to be a great watch this season because them versus Buffalo week 1, that's a huge game. Going against Detroit trying to bounce back from their playoff woes last year. Kansas City, are they still the same? Houston, can they get back to rookie CJ Stroud? The Rams are always the Rams. And you know the Bengals and Pittsburgh and the Ravens, that's just AFC North football. And the Packers towards the end of the season, if they have something to play for, that's going to be a good game. So, yeah, the Ravens schedule is legit, but I still think they get the 12 wins. Coach, what you think?
Looking at the schedule, I mean, you're going up against the NFC North, the AFC East, as far as your crossover divisions. But, you know, it's tough. Pat, you talked about weeks 3. I'm including week 1. You know, in a sense, the only reprieve, and it's still not a reprieve with Cleveland. You still also have Buffalo to start. Then on top of that, we talked about the Kansas City, getting over at Kansas City. You're playing both Buffalo and Kansas City on the road. So that's tough in itself. And then, you know, I'm looking at it and it's interesting because after you start to see you play 2 home games, then you play 3 home games in a row, then 3 road games, then 3 home games on the road. It's like, you know, the NFL really didn't do them any favors. I mean, it's like you can't get into any type of a rhythm one way or another, because you're playing either on the road in a cluster or at home in a cluster where you can get too comfortable. So, but they're all tough. You speak about the AFC North games in itself to close out the season. Even the last 4 games, you're playing 3 or 4 on the road. So it's tough. 12 wins, 11 and a half. I can go over with the 11 and a half when I sit down and I really evaluate it. Especially if they can, right off the bat, if they can get over Buffalo, I think it really can bode well for them, going forward, because Cleveland, as though it's going to be tough, they're still trying to find themselves. So you can position yourselves to go into that week 3 through 6 before the bye, that if you can get Buffalo, that can build up your confidence, and then maybe you can say I can get Detroit and close out with 2 of the last 3, then that can bode well for you going down the stretch. So, but it is a tough schedule, and I understand why it's the 9th toughest schedule in the league.
Yeah. The thing here that I think about is their division. And their division, I think Pittsburgh's gonna give them a fight, Cincinnati's gonna give them a fight, and Cleveland's gonna give them a fight too. Cleveland's going to give the Baltimore Ravens a fight. They always do. It is a division rival game. So, if they lose 2 or 3 in their division, you can count on them to probably lose 2 or 3 outside of the division. I'm going to go under here for the Baltimore Ravens. Just slightly under, though. I think they hit that 11-win-ish mark. You know what I'm saying? If they have injuries, I could see them as a 10-7 team as well. But I don't think it's about the regular season with this team anymore. You got to show up for the playoffs. So even if you have to sacrifice some of the regular season accolades and wins, Lamar Jackson getting these MVPs, them reeling off 12, 13 wins a season, having the best record, having the best this, having the best that, rushing champions and all this different things like that. Worry about the playoffs. So, if you got to sit some people down the stretch, and not tank, but, just rest some players and prepare for the long haul, which is the playoffs, that's what you need to do this year, Baltimore Ravens, because it's not about the regular season no more. I don't want to talk about this MVP Lamar Jackson. That's MVP the playoffs. Be the Super Bowl MVP. Get that MVP trophy.
That's
that's what I want to see, man. So I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under, but it needs to be under, in a sense, because they need to be focused on the playoffs and not just winning. You want to win your games and win your division, but, at the end of the day, if you're going through some things, some injuries or whatever, it's okay to not, not be the number 1 seed or whatever, go in as a wild card. Wild card teams win all the time. They win all the time. I just think this team needs to really prepare for the long, because what happens with the Baltimore Ravens too a lot of times is they get in the playoffs and then they get beat up, they get hurt, injured, things happen, mistakes happen, and it could be because you just long regular season. Now it's extra games, an extra game, so it could be fatigue. Lack of focus. I don't know, mental fatigue maybe. So again, that's why I want them to, if I'm their coach or GM or whatever in that organization, I'm preparing more for the playoffs. We're going to win enough games to get to the playoffs, obviously, but let's not burn our players out during this long regular season, man. But that is my thoughts on the Ravens, and that is going to conclude our Baltimore Ravens portion. But we coming right back, man. We got 3 other teams to preview. So next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. But we're gonna be right back. All right, we back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for Pittsburgh, you see it on the screen right there, y'all. Mr. Aaron Rodgers. That is the big thing here with the Steelers. Finally getting Aaron Rodgers just in time for camp. He'll be going into training camp as the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback. And last year, again, just same old Steelers, 10-7. To get into the playoffs. Don't do much, but they do get there. This year they got them 8.5. I don't know if that's low or right around where they should be. Given that they do have some turnover and some possible turmoil with TJ Watt. TJ Watt not signed, wants a new contract, and he's making it known that, hey, I want my money. Paying Aaron Rodgers and all these other cats, give me mine. But what's y'all's thoughts, man, on the Steelers, man, as we start off here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers, man, they're always in the thick of things, man. Just when you think they're dead and out of it, they just find a way to get back into the playoffs. Mike Tomlin, great coach. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, you don't really know what they're going to be this year. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be the quarterback that they think can get them over the hump, what Russell Wilson couldn't do last year? The loss of George Pickens, how they're going to, get over that. Well, they did get DK Metcalf, so that was a huge get. Would have liked to see them keep those two monsters together, but they traded George Pickens to the Cowboys. But I really think this is going to be a season to determine Mike Tomlin's future with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because if the Steelers bottom out, it gives them a reason to get rid of Mike Tomlin, which I don't agree with. I think he should be able to retire from the Steelers whenever he's ready to, because he's done so much for that franchise. He's gave him a Super Bowl. I think this man has never had a losing season with the Steelers. If so, I think it may have been once, but I don't even think that's it. I think they've been 500 or better every season that he's been with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're going to see, man, because he has a lot of personalities that he has to deal with. He has to deal with the TJ Watt saga over there about him getting his money. Will they re-sign TJ Watt, give him his contract extension? What about Aaron Rodgers? Is Aaron Rodgers gonna turn into doing Aaron Rodgers things over there with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Can he be the players' coach and get these players to continue the Pittsburgh tradition, their culture over there? They're hard workers. They go out there and they battle. No matter who you are, they always have a chance to win. So we're going to see what Mike Tomlin does this season. This might be his toughest coaching year, but people like Cam Hayward and people like that are still there. So we'll see what the Steelers are made of this season. Coach, what you think about them going into this season?
Steelers, it's interesting. I mean, when I'm sitting here looking at the stats, the biggest issue last year seems to be the quarterback play more than anything. I mean, in terms of the passing yards, total 32-64, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So it wasn't about the turnovers in from the quarterback. It was more about the explosive plays. 2,100 yards, a little bit over 2,100 yards in rushing. Overall, their offensive rank was 23rd in the league. So everything seems to be about the quarterback. Now, I was looking at Aaron Rodgers' stats last year with the Jets, and wasn't the greatest, but I mean, roughly 3,900 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, completion percentage about 63, which was on the lowest end of the spectrum over his career. But 62% a couple of times with Green Bay, 60% at Green Bay. Most of the times it's anywhere from about 66 to 63. So he's right about that range. Now, we all talk about his diva mentality and all this and that with him, but looking at these numbers, to be brutally honest with you, it was more about the Jets. It was a bad team last year, and they were poorly coached. I mean, you can't get 3,900 yards from the quarterback position if you're a bad quarterback. Sorry. Now, I'm not sitting here saying I expect him to, you know, in a sense, be an elite quarterback. But if he gives the Steelers a roughly about 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and they can get any semblance of a productive running game, you know, and Mike Tomlin, like you said, Pat, he always, for some reason, people write him off, but he always shows up, or he always gets his team in the playoffs. And I know plenty of Steelers. I have Steelers fans in my family, and it's roughly 60-40 that they're not happy with Tomlin, you know, because the expectations is actually Super Bowls. When you're at Pittsburgh, it's about Super Bowls. It's not about anything else but the Super Bowls with the Steelers. So, you know, and if we look at the total, where is it? I had it. Yeah, if we look at the rushing, I mean, Najee Harris last year had a little over 1,000 yards. You know, Jalen Warren, 5,100 yards. You know, Justin Fields from the quarterback position had almost 300 yards. So there is some ability to be productive in the rushing and running game. Now, the big deal is, you know, you traded away your top receiver, but you bring in a Metcalf. So what is he going to do? You just traded for, you know, one of the very productive tight end coming over from the Dolphins. So what are the Steelers going to do offensively? Because defensively, you know, the Steelers have always been known as a defensive team. Last year, their defensive ranking in terms of yards was 12th in the league. So, you know, it's just not the elite, but it's close to being in the top 10. So really, you just need that defense to be productive and continue to what it's doing. Yes, TJ Watt, the situation there with him. But I'm going to be honest with you. This is prior to the season, and this is usually when players hold out when they want to renegotiate a contract. But once you start getting into, because don't forget, if they're under contract, they're getting fined and they're starting to lose money, then it becomes a different ball game. So that's all I have in terms of the Steelers.
Yeah, man. This TJ Watt thing is something to monitor, but TJ Watt is on the Steelers roster. But let's take a look at who is no longer on the Steelers roster. And let's take a look at some of the losses that they had this offseason. The quarterbacks, all of them said, Cal Allen to the Lions, Justin Fields to the Jets, and Russell Wilson to the New York Football Giants. Najee Harris, as you guys mentioned, no longer there. He is on the Chargers. We know about the George Pickens trade. George Pickens traded to the Cowboys. Another person went over to the Chargers. Mike Williams going back to L.A. Offensive tackle Dan Moore Jr. to the Titans and James Daniel, the guard, to the Dolphins. So on defense, Preston Smith, Martravius Adams, Larry Ojobi to the Bills, Landon Roberts to the Raiders, Deontay Jackson to the Chargers, Cameron Sutton, Michael Fitzpatrick traded now a Dolphin. So a lot of turnover here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I mean, it's a lot to pick from, fellas. Which one or ones of these one of these players, you know, that you think is going to impact this team the most, not having them there?
This is why I said that, you know, Mike Tomlin is going to have probably have his best coaching job this year to get the Steelers back into the playoffs, into championship contention. Because like Coach said, it's about Super Bowls over there with the Steelers. They got 6 of them. And anything else is unacceptable. So you lose Najee Harris, you lose your top rusher, you lose your top receiver in George Pickens, you lose Dan Moore, your offensive tackle, you lose James Daniels, offensive guard, you lose one of your good edge rushers at Preston Smith. You lose another good defensive tackle, Ojobi. I mean, you lose Dante Jackson, one of your top corners. Then you lose your top slot corner in Cameron Sutton. You lose your top safety in Minka Fitzpatrick. And you lose your backup safety that was on the other side with DeMonte Kazee going to a rival in the Browns. They lost a lot this offseason, man. When you really put this on paper, they lost the trenches. They lost secondary. They lost receivers. They lost their running game. Like, man. That is tough. Woo, that's tough. What you think about that, Coach? Yeah, that's tough, bro. They got a lot of people on that list.
Pat, you were very poignant in attacking and addressing the key losses. Couldn't agree with you. But I'm going to say one of the ones that I think is most impactful outside of losing all three of your quarterbacks, because we're in a day and age, quarterback is everything. So you're bringing in a whole new quarterback staff. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing from last year to say there's some semblance of continuity. But outside of that, I'm going to go with Minka Fitzpatrick, and here's the reason why. Speaking to my dad, who's a major Steelers fan, I would say all his life, and my dad is in his 80s, so he's been with them since day one, going from Noel all the way down to Tomlin right now. And I was talking to him last week about it, and he said, I don't understand why you would make the trade with the Dolphins and give up Minka Fitzpatrick. Why not have the addition with Minka Fitzpatrick, which makes your defensive backfield that much stronger? And I understand why, in a sense, you had to trade Minka Fitzpatrick because it's about equal value, but there's not any other way that you could have done it because you also got a tight end along in the trade back. So to me, there's other ways you could have done this trade and made that defensive backfield that much better and much more effective. Yes, you still have to, address the front line. You know me, you know how I talk about the trenches, but that Minka Fitzpatrick always stood out to me, in that trade. And I think that's probably the most impactful in terms of the Steelers' key losses.
Yeah, of course, in the trade with Jalen Ramsey, and we're going to get into that here right now as we look at the key additions for the Steelers. They did bring in some pieces. Couple quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, as we already talked about, Mason Rudolph coming back to Pittsburgh, Kenneth Gainwell signed on a 1-year deal. Of course, the trade with DK Metcalf, which is key because you lost Pickens, so you gain Metcalf, man. I like that swap out, man. We'll see if it works out for the teams. Added a couple other cats, wide receivers there. Tight end Jonnu Smith. As you said, getting him in that trade with Jalen Ramsey. Darius Slay also coming over on a 1-year deal. James Pierce, Brandon Eccles. So they did add some cornerback help there. But talk about some of these pieces that they add and which one of these signings do you think is going to impact them the most this year?
The one that's going to impact them the most is DK Metcalf. What is it? Is DK Metcalf going to be that guy that he's supposed to be, the most dominant receiver in the NFL physically? Like, this dude's a physical specimen, and I don't see why he's never in the top receiver contention because of his production. Like, I don't get it. Like, the dude is literally built to be unstoppable. Like, he's AJ Brown with speed. So, like, it's crazy, but he's definitely going to have a huge impact. I like the Robert Woods signing. He's a veteran. He knows what to do. He's been good everywhere he's been. He's going to get those first downs. He's going to get those guys motivated out there. Jonnu Smith. Now you're not in Miami. You're over there in the AFC North now. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference. It's a difference in weather. It's a difference of physicality. It's a difference in expectations. So is Jonnu Smith going to do what he did over there in Miami and Pittsburgh? That's a wait and see there. Not saying he's going to be sorry, but that's just a wait and see because it's a different animal over there. I do like the Malik Harrison signing to pair with Hayward. Do like that signing. Is Jalen Ramsey still the same? You know, those Dolphins players, when they leave the Dolphins, they normally are not the same anymore. I was just going to be honest with you. And that's, you got to think, why would you trade somebody like a Jalen Ramsey for basically a safety? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no first round picks or anything. It was just basically a replacement. So is that a sign of saying that he's losing it? I don't know. Darius Slade, the Eagles finally let him go. Is he still big play Slade? I don't think so. I think a lot of cornerbacks go over there to Pittsburgh just to end their careers. You know, Joe Hayden, Patrick Peterson, a lot of those guys go over there to end their careers. Deshaun Elliott has been solid his whole career. He's a heavy hitter and he can play some safety. And Juan Thornhill can play a little bit of safety too. So with their secondary of Darius Slade, Elliott, Thornhill, Jalen Ramsey get it done over there in the AFC North against teams like the Bengals and Ravens, we'll see. But Darnell Parham is a bigger tight end too that they signed. So it's just going to be what can Mike Tomlin get out of these guys? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be the leader that they need him to be on a 1 year, $13 million? He hasn't seen $13 million since his rookie contract. You know what I'm saying? So is he going to be motivated to go out there? You know what I'm saying? Because money talks to Aaron Rodgers, believe it or not. And he just accepted what was out there. So we'll see. But, Coach, what you guys say about their key additions?
It's all going to be about Aaron Rodgers, yes. Number one, protecting him. I mean, you know, your trenches, can you protect him? And what are you going to get in the running game?
Yeah.
The thing with Rodgers, I mean, you looking at, you know, the additions, Metcalf, Scotty Miller, Skoranek, Woods, Parham, Smith. So you're trying to give him some semblance of productive skill players to help him. But it still starts with the trenches. Is Pittsburgh going to be able to be physical at the point of attack, set up the run game, and let Aaron Rodgers get into play action and get the ball downfield? Like I said before, you know, he had roughly 3,900 yards with the Jets. So is the offensive production better here? It's going to fall on the offensive line more than anything, and key coaching adjustments. That to me is going to be major. The defense, I just, for some reason, no matter what, yes, having Minkah Fitzpatrick there with Ramsey and Slay, I think would have really boosted what they were going to do. But I also see them probably playing a little bit more zone as opposed to man, which will take some of the pressure off of Ramsey and Slay. And, you know, if you get Watts back and you get the pressure on the opposing quarterback, defensively, I think they will be all right. You know, they were 12 in terms of yards last year. So if they can give you that, and Aaron Rodgers can give you the same type of, can just be productive and let the playmakers do what they need to do, get DK Metcalf down the field, which opens up the intermediate areas to let, you know, guys like Robert Woods, Scotty Miller to attack that area, use the tight end. Who knows what the Steelers can do? You know, I can't write them off. I know the projection is 8.5, but with Tomlin, it just seems to be 10 is just the baseline for him. Mm-hmm. That's the baseline. So it's like, if you can get the key coaching adjustments and these guys, especially Aaron Rodgers, because you don't want to end up, God forbid, something happens to him and turn the ball over to Mason Rudolph.
Well, we're gonna look at the depth chart and see what they got going on as far as the roster is, man. But I think it's about who's not on this list. And that's TJ Watt, because he's not signed yet, and they got to figure that out, man.
Is he signed or is he holding out? I thought he was holding out.
He's holding out.
Okay.
But I mean, again, you know, he wants a contract, and you know how these things can can drag out into a season and affect the chemistry of your team. So definitely that's something to keep an eye on. But let's take a look at what they did here in the draft. Derek Harmon, D tackle out of Oregon, first round pick, number 21st overall. Then they went and got Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa, as Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State, and D tackle Yaya Black in the 5th round out of Iowa. I like those 2 picks right there. They did get a quarterback, Will Howard, Ohio State quarterback. Carson Buhner, linebacker in the 7th round. Deontay Kent, out of Central Michigan, cornerback, also in the 7th round. But which one of these guys do you think is going to have the biggest impact in year 1 on this Pittsburgh Steelers team?
I gotta go with my guy, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, man. He's gonna have to be the biggest impact because they have no running game. You still got Tyler Warren, but he's not a bell cow running back. You know, he's always been the number 2 to Najee Harris. So this guy here is gonna have to have a tremendous rookie season if they want to get back, you know, to being Pittsburgh as far as being that 10-win team like Coach Ford mentioned. Like, this guy's gonna have to be everything back for them, man. He's gonna have to be, because I think the running game is what's gonna get these guys rolling. Because I don't know about the chemistry with Aaron Rodgers with a DK Metcalf and somebody like that out there. You don't know what that guy Aaron Rodgers' head space is at. Is Aaron Rodgers gonna be a 4,000-yard quarterback again? We're gonna have to see. But in order for him to do that, this kid right here, Mr. Caleb Johnson, he's going to have a hell of a rookie season, man. So this is the guy that I'm saying is going to have the most impact, bar none, man. But Coach, what you think?
First of all, you know, Caleb Johnson from Iowa, I agree with you. He's the biggest impact to me. Staying in the black and yellow, you know, mighty interesting there. Also, I'm looking at this and I'm like, Pittsburgh attacked the Big Ten. All of their first picks are from the Big Ten.
That's a fact.
So, you know, now Jack Sawyer, I like, you know, now he's not a TJ Watts, but he's a productive defensive end. He's played some big time ball and he's produced, and he's a blue collar type of player. So, you know, he can definitely get out there. So I like what they did, you know, in terms of the players that they brought in. Will Howard, what are you going to get? Can you develop him for something down the road? That's a wait and see. I mean, he's a 6th rounder, so you just take a chance and see what happens, what you can get with him. Bruner's going to me, more of a, you know, special teamers. I'm not familiar with Kent, so I can't speak too much about him. Seeing Black, you know, usually coming from Iowa defensively, guys are fundamentally sound. That's the biggest thing. And Harmon, I do like him. You know, stout type of a defender. So, you know, while it's, you know, I'm looking at the players they brought in. They come from, for the most part, playing in the conference that is competitive, it's tough. It's in a sense a Pittsburgh type of environment, type of players, you know, coming over from the Big Ten. So it's going to be interesting. Could they, you know, if they had more draft picks, filled more, yes. You know, I would have liked to seen that. But the players that they have, if they coach them up, I think that they're going to be good and they're going to help this team.
Yeah, for sure, Coach, man. We spoke to Yaya Black at the Senior Bowl, and I think that's a sneaky good pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This dude is a monster.
Yeah,
you put him in that
6'8".
defense, yeah, and with Derek Harmon and the rest of the guys that they got already over there, and Sawyer with, you know, hopefully they get Watt and, you know, into camp. But let's take a look at how the defense does shape up here as we look at the roster here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, you see it there: Cam Hayward, Derek Harmon, Yaya Black, Keanu Benton. You know, you got Watt, you got Patrick Queen, Nick Herbert big in there, Malik Harrison that they signed, Jack Sawyer, Alex Highsmith. You got Slay and Ramsey in the backfield, Joey Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott. So I mean, they stay pretty good. I think solid defensively. If you're looking at the offense, though, I think this is where they need to step it up. I say a little bit, man, but they got the pieces to do it. DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Calvin Austin III. That's not a bad combination there. You got Broderick Jones, left tackle. You got Isaac Ciamolo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Tony Troy Fatanu. So I mean, their offensive line, should be decent. I think. Can they run the football? We'll see. Pat Freiermuth, with Donald Smith. That's a nice combination, man. I like
Smith
that kid, Darnell Washington, man.
Right behind us,
yeah. So they got a good group as far as the tight end, man. What do you get out of Aaron Rodgers? And what are you going to get from, the receivers and DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, and these guys? That is my biggest question on offense, man. And on defense, man, I mean, you get TJ Watt back. I mean, I think you good money, but what's y'all thoughts?
This is why I enjoy doing these previews with these guys. This Steelers roster is not bad. It's not bad. When you look at a solid offensive line, you got DK Metcalf and Robert Woods and Austin out there. Yeah, two smaller receivers, but you got Skoranek coming off the bench. If you need a bigger receiver to come in there to pair with DK Metcalf. You got good running backs. You got 3 good tight ends. Yeah, I like the way they offense, and I'm gonna bring it to a hold after the defense. You got Derek Harmon, Cameron Hayward, the ageless wonder. TJ Watt will be there. Highsmith. You got Sawyer to back those guys up. The thing that I like that I see on this defensive roster, you got Jalen Ramsey at the slot corner nickel. That allows him to be physical. So if he has lost a little bit of that blazing speed that he has, he's a menace when he actually goes in there and blitz to get after quarterbacks. And he's a willing tackler. So if you got somebody like that as your slot corner, yeah. That takes the pressure off your safeties, and that takes a little bit of pressure off your linebackers as well. And Peyton Wilson is an absolute beast. He runs sideline to sideline. Patrick Queen, absolute beast. You know what it comes down to with this Steelers team? It's that damn Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers comes to play, they're going to be a legit team. They will be legit. And they actually could compete in that AFC North with any one of those teams. Yeah. It's on Aaron Rodgers to me, bro. That's who it's on. But go ahead, Coach.
Like I said before, it starts with their offensive line. Jones is continuously developing. He's a good left tackle. Ciamalo came over from the Eagles. If you come from the Eagles, you've been fundamentally taught how to play. Zach Frazier, still developing, young offensive lineman, but he's fairly good. McCormick, we talked about him at depth in the past, coming over from North Dakota State. Definitely, a good offensive lineman. And Troy Fatano, when he played at Washington, man, jack of all trades, man. That offensive line, Pittsburgh will run you with some 12 personnel. They'll even run 13 personnel. So imagine having those 3 tight ends, and it doesn't mean that they're strictly going to run. They can still open it up a little bit on you and try and get down the field. So, Pat, you said it perfectly. Offensively, comes down to Aaron Rodgers, which I said, and if he can just get the ball to the playmakers, don't force things, don't do things that, you're 40 plus years old. Come on, man. Just let your playmakers make plays. And, Caleb Johnson, to me, I think is going to be the key in the run game. So, and defensively, that defense, it's tough, man. I'm now thinking that, to be honest with you, I'm expecting them to get into the top 10, top 8 defensively. Looking at that defense across the board, it's like, as long as you don't have any major injuries, I think they're going to be good.
They got depth too, though.
Yes. No, I'm not saying they don't have depth.
Boy, yeah.
Yes, but you still lose a little bit of something when you go from the first to the second unit. So overall, like I said before we came to here, it's Aaron Rodgers and the coaching. You coach this team up right. They're going to be right. They can be right there now. Playing for a championship, I need to see more. But can they be another playoff? Make the playoffs again? Yes. And I know many Steelers fans don't want to hear that because to some that I hear, they don't like Tomlin and they wish he would go. But Tomlin may do it again.
So let's see their path to the playoffs. Like we said, BetMGM has them at 8.5 on the win total. Also 10th strength of schedule. So it's not going to be, a cakewalk for Pittsburgh to get there, man. They start off with the Jets and Seattle. I mean, that Jets game is going to be, emotionally filled with the Aaron Rodgers thing looming over it. Seattle's gonna be a good team, man. I think they're gonna be a decent team. So
DK Metcalf goes back to Seattle.
Yeah, that's gonna be another thing for them. Then you get New England, Minnesota, Cleveland. So the first part of that schedule is, not crazy, man. But then you get the Bengals, then you get Green Bay. They drop the Colts in there, but then you go to the Chargers, the Bengals, the Bears, Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore. So it's gonna be a thing of attrition, I think, here with the Steelers, man, especially because the tough part of their schedule is towards the end, here on the schedule, man. So as you mentioned, Coach, injuries and things can play a part, and you're going to get some tough teams, man, in the back end of that schedule, man. But what's your thoughts, man? 8.5. What we doing here, fellas? We going over or under?
Looking at this schedule, the Pittsburgh Steelers season starts after week 5, after their bye week. Cleveland is always a tough out there division opponent. Another division opponent is Cincinnati. Then Green Bay. Get a little bit of reprieve in Indianapolis. Then it's the gauntlet. The Chargers, the Bengals, the Bears, the Bills, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Lions, Cleveland, and then Baltimore again. My goodness.
Ain't gonna be easy.
Man, Tomlin gonna have to coach his butt off after that bye week, man. They better be 4-0 before that bye week, man. But Mike Tomlin has always been a good coach, and he hasn't had a losing season ever with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to go over. But, man, do they have a hell of a time after that bye where they got like a 10-game stretch that is just ridiculous. They're going to have to, that defense and that run game is going to have to pick up, especially when it gets to like week 10. They're going to have to depend on that run game. It's going to get colder. You're going to have to play that Pittsburgh Steelers type brand football. And we'll see if they can come out, unscathed. But, Coach, what you think about this Steelers? Over or under, man?
I'm over. I'm over the 8.5. And like I said, we just talked about the roster. Yes, the schedule is tough. Don't get me wrong. It is. But I think that they can get 10 wins off of the schedule. I really do. And, it's going to be tough. But you do this, Pat, you talked about Tomlin going to have to coach his tail off. And his coaching staff is going to have to coach their tails off. Yes, you're right. But you get 10 wins out of this? Yes. They're a good team. I'm not going to say they're an elite team, but they will be a good team. And you know what? If they can play the typical physical Pittsburgh Steelers brand of football, it may change the whole outcome of their season. So it may come down to, even still with the division, possibly them in Baltimore. There is that possibility. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. But looking at that schedule, man, you said week 5, man. Week 4, man, Minnesota's gonna be tough. You know, we'll
it's
see.
overseas. It's an early morning. It's an early morning game.
Yeah, man. But that's not easy either. But I'm with you guys. I'm going over 8.5. I thought that 8.5 number was low anyway for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is normally a 9-10 win team anyway. And you know, people can say they upgraded with the quarterback. You know, you can say, you know, swapping Pickens for Metcalf, you know, might be an upgrade chemistry wise. But it's gonna come down to Aaron Rodgers, man. And if he can he even last the whole season? Ain't like Aaron Rodgers this Iron Man. You know, it ain't like Aaron Rodgers is this Iron Man. You know, and if we go back to that depth chart for just a quick second, Mason Rudolph is backing him up, and Will Howard. That could get ugly, especially on the end of that season. So I'm going over, but don't get it twisted. This thing could spin sideways for Pittsburgh, man. It really can. You know what I'm saying? Because that does not give me a lot of confidence at all backing up Aaron Rodgers. I mean, and if you get one-dimensional to where the quarterback can't get the ball to DK Metcalf or Robbie, oh my goodness. And you're going to have that defense out on the field all game long, yeah, eventually they're going to crack. So, but yeah, we ain't done yet, y'all. We ain't done yet, man. We coming right back, continuing our preview. Up next with the Cincinnati Bengals. Be right. All right, back here with the Cincinnati Bengals, man. Last year 9-8. Disappointing season for the Bengals. You know, this is a team that has high expectations. You know, they signed all their offensive players. You know, the ones that they want to keep. Higgins, Chase, Burrow, you know, all these guys getting contracts. One guy didn't get one though, and that's Trey Hendrickson, and he's another player griping here in the AFC North, another edge rusher. What's going on with the AFC North and the edge rushers, man? keep your edge rushers happy, AFC North, man. You know what I'm saying? Pay your guys, man. But yeah, they went out and gave all those guys a contract, did not give Trey Hendrickson a contract. So that is one of the big storylines going in here with the Cincinnati Bengals, man. But it starts with that guy on the screen, Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, you know. And the thing with Joe Burrow has been health, really. You know, can he stay healthy? Because when he's healthy, he's very good.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they got him at 9.5. Wow. They got the Bengals projected at 9.5. 14th on the strength of schedule ranking. So, you know, almost in the middle. But what's your thoughts, man, on the outlook here going into this season? And talk a little bit about the situations there with the Bengals, man, and Burrow and Hendrickson and the company.
Cincinnati Bengals, man, was a crazy team last year, man. This is a team that could put up 40 points and lose 45-40. Their defense was that bad last year in the beginning of the season. But when they got, you know, some of their issues together, Joe Burrow got a little bit healthier. Joe Burrow played at an MVP level those last, 8 games. Like, he was going absolutely ape shit. Like, that was some of the best quarterback play I've seen in a long time, man. He was getting busy out there, but, you know, they re-signed their receivers and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. What did that cost them on the defensive side? Because it wasn't the offensive side that was hurting, but I can see why you want to keep those two receivers together, both making over $30 million. So that's crazy. But they're going to have to get their defense together, man, if they want to get back to Super Bowl contention, man, because their defense let them down tremendously last year. They lost games that they shouldn't have lost, man. You got guys like Jamar Chase, man, can catch it over the middle, take it to the house. T. Higgins, big body, 6'4", speed, can go over the middle, catch everything. Joe Burrow was just lighting people up last year, as you see, touchdown after touchdown. And the score is 28-28. And, you know, they lose these games 42-38. Stuff like that, man. It's crazy with this Bengals team. But Joe Burrow has to stay healthy. I mean, look at that. Touchdown after touchdown, 35 up. You know, 27-6 the Chargers, and they brought that back. And I think they might have won that game. But it's up to Joe Burrow and his offense, man. Will they have to score 35 points to have a decent season this year? Because their defense is giving up 30 points a game. We'll see. But, Coach, what you think about them, man?
This team is really about their offense. I mean, about their defense in the end. I mean, offensively, over 6,000 yards in total yards in terms of offense. Passing, 4,600 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. I mean, that speaks volumes to me. You know, your offensive ranking was 9th, and your defensive ranking was 25th in terms of yards. That's crazy right there. I mean, Burrow, you know, was amazing, like you said, Pat, you know, with the amount of yards that he passed for. And then Chase with his receiving yards. You had Chase Brown, also roughly almost 1,000 yards in the rushing attack. So, you know, there's some type of production there. You know, so T. Higgins, again, you know, roughly 900 yards in terms of reception. Mike Gesicki, you know, almost 700 yards, you know, from the tight end position. So this comes down to their defense and what have they done to help improve their defense. So that to me is what it boils down to. So that's about it.
And we will see as far as what the Bengals did do this offseason to improve, man. But first, we're going to take a look at some of the pieces that they lost here. Not a crazy list, man, but Sam Hubbard retiring, Sheldon Rankins, veteran D lineman, going to the Texans, offensive tackle Trent Brown to the Texans as well. So Texans taking some of Cincinnati's pieces. Alex Kappa going to the Raiders, the guard there. Jermaine Pratt also joining him, going to the Raiders. Then you got Mike Hilton and Von Bell in the secondary. Akeem Davis-Gaithers as well, linebacker, going to the Cardinals. But which one of these losses do you think is going to affect this team the most going into this next season?
Just speaking on the Bengals, edge, Sam Hubbard, that's going to hurt them a lot. Sam Hubbard, he was older, but, man, he was solid, bro. He was solid for that team, opposite of, I always forget his name, the other edge rusher that they got over there that they're not signing right now, but
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. Those two guys, they were a pretty good tandem when their defense started playing well. Sheldon Rankins is going to hurt them a little bit. Davis Gaither is going to hurt them a little bit, and Jermaine Pratt. And Trent Brown and Alex Kappa, let's hope that the Bengals don't get back to those offensive line woes that they've had the past 3 to 4 years, losing 2 starters amongst the offensive line. That hurts as well. And Khalil Herbert was a very good backup running back, man. That dude's, I think that's an unappreciated running back, man. He was good with the Bears, and he was good with the Bengals last year, man. That dude, he's a solid number 2 option coming off that bench as a running back, man. He can give you some tough yards, but it's the trench play, man. Like, every one of these off-season things that we do in the trenches, man, it's like people don't care about the trenches no more, I guess. I don't know. But, Coach, talk to him, man. What you think is going to hurt them?
You said it. It's the trenches. It's the trenches. You got to be able to protect your quarterback, and you got to be able to stop the run and get after the quarterback. Very simple. You already have a bad defense, so Hubbard retiring, Sheldon Rankins, serviceable veterans, losing them. What do you do to replace them? So ultimately, it's the trenches for me with the Bengals.
Yeah, let's look at what they did. Of course, you see the re-signings of their big top receivers. Samaje Perine signed running back, so they replaced Herbert with Perine here. Gesicki re-signing. Tanner Hudson also re-signing. Signed Lucas Patrick, offensive guard, and Cody Ford re-signing. So that's what they did in the trenches as far as the offensive line is concerned. Now they brought back BJ Hill and Joseph Osaya and Cam Sample. Signed TJ Slayton, D lineman, Oren Burks. And in the secondary, just signing one corner, Marco Wilson. He re-signs on a 1-year deal. So they didn't do a ton, just mainly just taking care of those top guys. But talk to me about which one of these moves you think is gonna have the biggest impact, man, for this team. Because I'm looking at this list and it's just not impressive to me. I mean, you had to sign Chase and Higgins and all that. I get it, but this Bengals team just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
looking at this addition list, man, they just prioritize keeping that offense together. So are you prioritizing winning, or are you prioritizing keeping the butts and seats to look at your offense? That's what you're going to have to see with the Bengals and the way they approach this season. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Gesicki, Tanner Hudson. Yes, you had to re-sign those guys if you want to keep that excitement going. But Samaje Perine being your number 2, I don't see that as being a good thing. Joseph Asai, he was there last year. Was he a major impact on them last year on defense? No, I don't believe so. Cam Sample, just another guy, to be honest with you. Glad they re-signed BJ Hill. He deserved this money. BJ Hill is nice. Now they're gonna have to see if TJ Slayton can come and be that opposite guy, BJ Hill, on that defensive line, to see exactly how they can stop the run this year and stop these teams for just going up and down the field against them. But as far as like handling their business on the defensive side of the ball, I think they just prioritize keeping the band together on the offense and trying to outscore people. That's what they're going to do this season based on this additions list. But Coach, what you think, man?
Most impactful, it's going to be impactful not to help in a sense, because it's the defense. Yes, you re-signed guys on your defense, but you already had bad players.
That's what I'm trying to say, Coach. They re-signed
you bring back players who are on a bad defense. So here's the question. Is it schematics? Because that could be a possibility. It could be the scheme that you're not putting these players in the right position. That's why I didn't want to say bad players, but you're re-signing players who are on a bad defense. So either they're not good players or it's your coordinator and the scheme that you guys are running. So that leaves me questioning, because yes, you signed Chase, you signed Higgins, you signed Gesicki, you needed to bring them back. But if your defense couldn't stop a tissue from flying down the field,
facts.
What is this going to do? Is it going to be more of the same thing? So, and it leaves me questioning, because, with Baltimore and even Pittsburgh, depending on Aaron Rodgers, this team may not be as good. They might have a great offense, but they just might not be a good team.
So your D coordinator Al Golden, coming over from Notre Dame, is who's going to take over for
That's a good hire.
Lou was it Amarillo, whoever got
Lou
fired
Amarillo, they fired
last
him
year
mid-season.
In the mid-season, like you said. So
that might be their best key addition. Let's keep it a
yeah.
buck. That might be the best key addition because he can coach some defense,
Yes,
man.
he
He's
can.
had Notre Dame's defense legit for like the past 4 or 5 years. So that's the best key addition right there.
Yes.
And he's not on the list.
Yeah. But let's take a look at what they did in the draft. Now, this is something that we ain't talked about yet. Shamar Stewart, their first round draft pick, number 17th overall. And as of today, July 6th, this recording, he is not signed his rookie contract yet. So this, again, what do I mean, are you prioritizing anything about the defense that you, other than bringing that good coordinator in there? Hopefully he can make some magic work, man, because you starting off wrong. The chemistry, you need chemistry on defense. These guys are missing OTAs, missing training camps, mini camps, different things like that, man. But just want to throw that out there. Shamar Stewart, though, when they do get him in camp, though, I think it is a good addition. I do like the pick. Demetrius Knight also, they picked second round. Dylan Fairchild, offensive guard out of Georgia, hopefully can come in and help that offensive line. Barrett Carter, linebacker out of Clemson, and offensive tackle Jalen Rivers out of Miami, and then Taj Brooks, running back out of Texas Tech in the 6th round. But talk about this draft class, fellas, and which one of these picks that you like here for the Bengals?
I actually like this draft class. The Shamar Stewart, Demetrius Knight, Fairchild could definitely fill in one of those offensive guard spots. Barrett Carter was underrated coming out of Clemson. Jalen Rivers, you're going to have to get him trained up out of Miami. There's something about those Miami tackles I just don't like. And can Taj Brooks stay healthy from Texas Tech to be that 1-2 punch? I guess a thunder and lightning with Chase Brown out there at the running back position. But I want to talk about Shamar Stewart and what the Bengals are doing with Shamar Stewart. Do the Bengals care about defense? You see what I'm saying? Like, all their defensive players, besides BJ Hill, there's like shiesty towards them. So do the Bengals believe that they can just outscore everybody? Because the way this offseason is looking, that's what they're doing. This Shamar Stewart cat can go back to college. You know what I'm saying? If they don't take care of him signing, you don't want to sign Trey Hendrickson. You're not signing your first round pick. It's in July. He's not signed. What's going on? These are guys that you're going to need to keep people from scoring 40 points against you. Like, seriously. Like, what are they doing over there? What is that front office doing over there in Cincinnati Bengals? They got players talking mad noise about their front office. So what are they doing over there? Do they prioritize defense at all? So you really think you're going to be able to put up 40, 41 points a game all season long? You know how much pressure you're putting on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins? You know how much pressure you're putting on them cats? And then you play in a division that's called the AFC North. Defense is aplenty over there in the AFC North. So do you really think you could just go out there and just throw up 38 points on the Steelers and the Bengals? Now, you could probably do it against the Browns, but even the Browns defense ain't nothing to play with.
I don't think you just
You
put
see what
up
I'm
40
saying?
on the Browns.
It's the reason why you put up 40 on the Browns because they can't do nothing on offense. Yeah. They can't do nothing on offense, so their defense is on the field 24/7. But if you don't have a defense to stop the Browns from putting up 20-some points, hell, that might be a tougher game than you think. So, this is an eye-opening thing about this Bengals team, man. What are they doing as far as on the defensive side of the ball? I'm gonna pitch it to my coach to see what he thinks about it.
I'm disgusted in the Bengals. I'm utterly disgusted in the Bengals because I get fans come to the game and they want to see offense. I get it. But football isn't about strictly offense. And first of all, if I'm a player in the league, I'm saying defensively, I don't even want to entertain Cincinnati right now. Because they're not treating their defensive players with the respect that is sometimes deserved. And then, okay, yes, you're bringing a new defensive coordinator, so new scheme it's going to take a little bit of time. It is. I'm sorry, it is. I love Al Golden. I love the hire. Pat talked about it. He might be the underrated key addition. But looking at this, and then what are you doing with Hendrickson? And now your number one overall draft pick, who's a defender, who, he can play. The kid is no scrub. The kid can play. You would want to get this kid in there. Now, Pat, I agree with you. I did like their draft. You got some offensive linemen. You got some nice defenders in there. Didn't have a lot of draft picks, so you did the best you could. So respect there. But overall, and I've heard from other Bengals fans who have said that the ownership does not want to pay out a lot of money outside of what they're paying Burrow and Higgins and Chase. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're in the big leagues. This isn't Smorgasbord Tech in Division 3. You're in the NFL. Now, are you trying to win championships? Are you trying to build a championship program? You have to pay to play. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You gotta pay to play. And I don't mean it that other way that, guys that know about. I mean to play in the big leagues. I mean to play in the NFL. You have to pay to play. Heck, in all sports, you see that teams are shelling out a lot of money. So, and I'm sorry, I know you're making money. You can't sit here and tell me, my books are in the red. I'm not going to believe that. What it's telling me is you just want to try and keep stuff in your pocket as much as possible. Well, you keep doing that, and guess what? You're going to go back to the old Bengals, a laughing stock in the league, and you're going to lose Joe Burrow and Shamar Chase and T. Higgins because they're going to demand trades.
Yeah.
I'm disgusted in the Bengals. Just disgusted. And I've never been disgusted with any NFL team to this magnitude. I'm disgusted with them because they're wasting talent offensively that they have. Go ahead. You got it, man.
Wasted. Let's take a look at, man, the Bengals overall roster, man. Let's look at this defense and see how it shapes out now. Like, they got like I said, Joseph Ossai, BJ Hill in there, TJ Slater Jr. On the defensive line, along with hopefully Trey Hendrickson eventually. And then linebacker, you got Demetrius Knight. He's slated to start. Logan Wilson and DJ Turner. Safety, Jordan Battle. Free safety, Geno Stone. Right corner, Cam Taylor Britt, and then nickel Dax Hill. I don't see a lot of depth either. I mean, we'll see, if Stewart gets out there. But, I mean, the offensive line, you got Orlando Brown Jr., Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karaskas, Lucas Patrick, and Amarius Mims. We talked about the skill position players. We talked about Joe Burrow and the running backs. You got Chase Brown, Zach Moss, Samaje Perine, and you drafted Taj Brooks. But It's about this defense, man. It's about this defense, and I don't see a defense that can compete in the AFC North or remember, they in the AFC. You in the AFC North, your division, but you got to go against Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and all these teams that can score points. The Chargers, they won't put up points. They can run the football. You know, you got teams to deal with. You know, the Texans, you know, Miami can score when they want to. You got teams you got to deal with. And you trotting out this defense, I mean, and you didn't put all that money into your offense. And what did you put into your defense? Yeah, you re-signed BJ Hill, but you don't want to pay Trey Hendrickson. You don't want to pay your rookie draft pick. You know, you didn't do anything in the secondary. Nothing. A nothing burger. Man, good luck. Good luck. What y'all think about the roster and the defense overall?
I'm with Coach. Looking at this defense, I'm disgusted because you know that's what you need. You got Demetrius Knight. Shout out to him, talking to him at the Senior Bowl, but he's not ready to start. He's not ready to start. I know he's not ready to start. Then you got your top draft pick is Shamar Stewart. You're not paying him. Your top edge rusher and Trey Hendrickson. You're not paying him. You didn't do anything to your secondary. That secondary looks like food. It looks like food out there. I don't have to talk about the Bengals offense. You know what they bring. You know their pedigree. This defense can hold them back again this year. If Trey Hendrickson is not playing, where's the pass rush? Will Logan and Demetrius Knight as your linebackers? Because you got rid of Pratt because you didn't want to pay him either. So you get rid of your top linebacker, your top edge rusher is mad, your top draft pick is mad, your backup edge rusher and Sam Hubbard retired. All your DBs are cooked food. Geno Stone is a little. What are you gonna do when he's not in Baltimore? I don't know, man. I'm with Coach, man. Yeah. Go ahead,
bad man.
First of all, Shaquan, loyal, love you, brother. You know, Rutgers Scarlet Knight from Newark, New Jersey. So Howard Cross, another Jersey boy from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Al Golden, respect to you, brother. I feel sorry for you, man. Everything about this team is about this defense. Oh, and don't let Joe Burrow go down for any reason.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I ain't even mentioned that. Jake Browning, man. God, Lord, have mercy.
I'm going to say this. You got the fourth best defense in your own division.
Yeah.
The fourth best defense. Right now, their season, excuse me, that's what I think about their season. That's what I think about their season. If the other three teams can be just competitive, the Bengals may be in for a long season. A long season. And you can talk about having the top offense, but can't wait to see their schedule.
Let's take a look at the aforementioned schedule. 9.5 for Cincy. They got the 14th ranked strength of schedule here. You starting off Cleveland, Jacksonville, okay, boom, boom. But then start to get a little tough. Minnesota, they can score. Denver, they can score. Detroit, they can score. Green Bay, they can score. Pittsburgh, we'll see. The Jets, Chicago, then you get a bye. That's tough. That is a tough stretch right there. And then you end off, you got Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore, Buffalo. Baltimore again, Miami, like I said, they could put up points when they want to, and you're going to Miami. Arizona, and then Arizona, Cleveland, say you win those couple games, man. But 9.5, man. 9.5. I don't know, man. What y'all thinking? Over, under?
I'm actually gonna go under. I think they finished third in the division around 9-8. Because the way their defense is set up. And then you got Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore. That might be a 3-game losing streak right there. It might be. And then if you go on 3-game losing streak right there, what's to say you could go to Miami and bounce back? Miami can put up points with you, and their defense is better than yours. And that's sad. Let's say Miami's defense is better than yours. And you playing in Miami, so you don't even get the code. Because if they were going to Cincinnati, I'll say Cincinnati, but you're in Miami in their backfield. And Pittsburgh ain't no slouch. Green Bay ain't no slouch. Detroit ain't no slouch. Denver ain't no slouch. Minnesota ain't no slouch. They could probably start off hot those first 2 weeks and beat up on Cleveland and Jacksonville, but then it starts getting real.
And it starts to get real. And they're going against offenses. That's what I want to highlight here, because their offense going to score, but Minnesota can score too, and you ain't going to be able to stop them. You know what I'm saying? Denver actually has a good defense that can slow your offense down, and they can put up points. They showed that last year. Detroit, we know what they could do. Green Bay, they can score. Pittsburgh, we talking about division games. The Jets, we're going to get into the AFC East a little bit later, man, but the Jets might be a little sleeper team here. Chicago. They got talent over there. So you got to stop the other team. But coach, what's your thoughts?
I'm going under. And I'm going to say they might win 5, maybe 6 games.
Ooh, shoot.
And it wouldn't even surprise me if they get swept by Cleveland.
Ooh, damn.
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah, that's very unpopular.
Because I'm sitting here, you just talked about it, let's say they do go split the first 2 games at Minnesota. At Denver, you're going to an elevated environment. Detroit, we know that, they're tough. At Green Bay, Pittsburgh, rival, it was always tough. You just talked about the Jets. What are we going to get from them? So there's a possibility they could win that, but they could also lose that. Same thing with Chicago. Pittsburgh, again, it's always tough. New England, okay, you might, depending, but New England is not going to be as easy. With Vrabel over there and things that they're doing over there.
That's for sure.
Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami. Can't even take Arizona lightly, because if Arizona is in a playoff hunt, they might be able to bring it. So again, I said 5, maybe 6 wins. Cincinnati, put egg on my face and prove me wrong. You got it.
That's a good way to end it, man. I'm taking the under as well. So I don't got no faith in them. I don't got no faith in them. I don't got no faith in the coach either, to be honest with you. Zach Taylor, I don't really believe in him. Definitely don't believe in his defense. And look, Joe Burrow, he could get hurt and you are done.
Yeah, you are done.
And it ain't like these quarterbacks don't get hurt. See, you better start investing in backup quarterbacks. Y'all paying these quarterbacks a bunch of money, and you ain't giving them no insurance. No insurance. You ain't thinking. But let's see if the Cleveland Browns are thinking, or what they're thinking about, man, as we conclude this preview, man. We'll be right back. All right. We're going to end it off here with the Cleveland Browns. Rough year last year for Cleveland, man. 3-14. It's a lot going on over there. You see him on the screen. Shedeur Sanders, man, Kevin Stefanski. They got a lot of quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson still there. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Coach Ed, Big Pat. They got everybody playing quarterback in Cleveland. But Vegas only got them projected at 4.5 wins. They have the 13th strength of schedule. So they ain't getting no breaks. It don't look like there's a lot of upside just based off of the projections. But rough year for Cleveland last year. They playing a tough division. What's y'all thoughts about the Browns, man, as we end this preview show off with Cleveland? What y'all think?
Listen. It ain't too much to say about Cleveland, man. They're just a franchise they're the Cleveland, man. Like, what? That's really how you
Browns going brown, huh? Browns going brown.
Man, they going brown, bro. They going brown and get beat down. That's what they do. They had a tumultuous season last year. They highlight is when they beat Pittsburgh in the snow. They do have some talent. They got Njoku. They got what's the receiver that went to Alabama? I can't think of
Jerry
it's not
Jeudy.
Calvin Ridley, but Jerry Jeudy. They have a little bit of a good defense. They got a pretty good defense, but other than that, bro, I think it's just the organization in general, bro. They just have a bad juju over there, and until they, get a coaching staff and a front office that's just, want to win. You got to get these players in a mode to win. They have a losing mentality, bro. They not expected to win. Maybe that changes after the re-signing of Myles Garrett. He signed a contract there for a reason. Maybe the $40 million was just too much to turn away because he was done with the Cleveland Browns. But once they said $40 million, or it might have been 41, he said, "I gotta change your heart." So
that will change your heart,
yeah,
mine, and a lot of other things in life.
So I don't know, man. It's just Cleveland, bro. Coach, what you got, man?
Whew. Cleveland. This is for you. Look, this is, it starts with the quarterback. You know the old saying, if you're playing more than one quarterback, you have no quarterbacks. So it's really dependent on who gets the reins. Now, taking a look at their offensive stats last year, 3,500 yards in passing yards, 19 touchdowns, but 23 interceptions. That's right. 23 interceptions.
A lot of turnovers.
1,600 yards rushing. 4.1 yards per average, but only 8 touchdowns. You had the 28th ranked offense, 19th ranked defense. And I think that was that way because the defense got tired. Now, the quarterback play, Flacco, Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, but it can also be about Shedeur Sanders. Can he take the reins? At Colorado, and I'm not saying Colorado was a juggernaut, but over 7,000 yards passing in Colorado, 72% completion percentage. And yes, I've heard it's only because he did a lot of the screens. You know what? Still, you got to complete the pass. He had 10 interceptions last year, but 37 touchdowns. Is he the future for that franchise as a quarterback? We don't know, but we will see. Last year, Jameis Winston was their leading passer, 2,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. You had Deshaun Watson, who's out now for the year. You already know that. 1,100 yards. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 400 yards. And Billy Zappi, okay. Receiving, you got Jerry Jeudy, who had what? Where is it? He had received, there it is, 1,200 yards receiving. Let me close this out, sorry. Had over 1,200 yards receiving. And the leading rusher last year, who was the leading rusher?
Is it Ford, right?
Yeah, I'm looking. It's Ford. I thought it was Chubb for a reason, but yeah, it was Jerome Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even
Chubb
know
was
that.
hurt. Yeah, he only played 8 games.
Yeah, it was Jerome Ford because Chubb was hurt for half the season.
Yeah, so I mean, when you sit here and you look at it, where's the biggest offensive threat? Who do you fear offensively off of this team?
Nobody. Baby.
So it's not looking good in Cleveland offensively. So they're going to be reliant on their defense again, at least to start. Now, again, who did they bring in to add in? But right now, based on what I was looking at from last year, there was nobody to be afraid of. So,
yeah, man. Definitely the Browns. They got to figure out the quarterback position. You as you mentioned, Jameis Winston, who's now a Giant, he's no longer there. You got Flacco returning back to Cleveland. Spent some time there before, but Joe Flacco. Can he hold it down until, you see what you got in Sador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, not starting off too well for Sador over there. It has some things with speeding and different things like that. But, you're going to be in the news. There's going to be a lot of attention on you, and there's going to be a lot of attention on this team. And that may not be a good thing because I don't know if they're going to be very good. But let's see some of the pieces they lost here. As we mentioned, Jameis Winston, Dorian Thomas-Robinson traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. So 2 quarterbacks that were there last year. So, you got like a whole new group pretty much. I don't know how that works out. Nick Chubb, your bell cow running back, man. I know he has dealt with some injuries, man, but Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb, man. Now he's going to be playing for the Texans. A couple other running backs, Foreman, Hines, gone. Elijah Moore, wide receiver, he went to the Bills. Look at what you lost on the offensive line. James Hudson, Hakeem Adiji, Jermaine Afididi, Jedrick Wills, wow, Michael Dunn, and Nick Harris. So a lot of pieces on the offensive line that were lost here in Cleveland. You also James Houston, edge, Maurice Hurts, and Dalvin Tomlinson, man. Another key name. Giants fans know Dalvin Tomlinson. He's going to the Cardinals. So major piece on your D, a big, a good rotational D line. You're gonna be missing there. Man. What hurts the most here? Looking at this list, fellas. What they gonna miss?
They're gonna miss Dalvin Tomlinson. They're gonna miss their whole offensive line. They're gonna miss Nick Chubb. They're gonna miss Deontay Foreman. They actually might miss Jameis Winston, Jordan Akins, NGF Swain. Like, bro, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, bro. Like, what's up with everybody in the trenches? All of these off-season previews, they lost the whole offensive line. A center, guard, and 2 tackles. The only thing you miss is the other guard. And then you lost Dalvin Tomlinson. Go ahead, Coach.
Look, I killed Cincinnati, and I'm going to kill Cleveland right here. I mean, and everything that you see here, more than anything, is offensively. And it's the heart of your offense because this is the running game. The offensive line is in the trenches, and then three running backs.
Three running backs.
Along with quarterbacks. And I know those quarterbacks are probably saying, thank God I'm out of there. Thank God I'm out of there. You know, and then Dalvin Tomlinson, Houston. I mean, you're talking about some decent trench guys. Trenches. Well, what I'm always harping on, trenches. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this. You lose 4 offensive tackles. 4! Not 2, 4. Man,
Crazy.
There's nothing else to say, man.
Man, well, it's two sides of it. Let's see what they bought in. So looking at some of the additions, like I said, Joe Flacco signed on a 1-year deal. Him traded for Kenny Pickett. So there's your 2 quarterbacks that they lost. DeAndre Carter, Deontay Johnson signing. So a couple wide receivers. They signed Jackson Barton and Cornelius Lucas, and then guard Tevin Jenkins. So they added a couple pieces there on the offensive line. Myles Garrett, the big one there, signed an extension. Going over the defense, Julian Okor, they signed him. Joe Tyron Soyiki, Malik Collins, Jerome Baker, Devin Bush coming in, Rashawn Jenkins, and DeMonte Kazi. So did they do enough, man? They lost a lot. Did they do enough, man? Talk about some of the pieces that they added, fellas.
Love the re-signing of Myles Garrett and Julian Okwara. Joe Tryon is decent. Malik Collins is pretty good. Yeah. Jerome Baker and Devin Bush, you know, they're formidable. Kazi is pretty good. They just got so much, bro. Then they bring in another headache in Deontay Johnson. I don't know why you would bring him in there. Like, he's a serious headache. Like, this dude's been on like 4 teams in 2 years. Like, he's been on the Steelers, Ravens. What was it? The Titans. It was crazy, man. He's been on so many teams. Like I said, man, I just don't have anything to really say about this team, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's gonna be a long season. I can't say that. It's gonna be a long season.
Coach.
Okay, you get brought in 3 offensive linemen, but you lost 6. Okay. You invested more in your defense. You invested more in your defense. Oh, yeah, you brought in Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett.
Come on, man.
Hey, 2 Jersey guys. I'll give them that. They're 2 Jersey guys. Back to you, NYG.
Shout out to Jersey, man. They still got Deshaun Watson on the team, too. Still there.
Hey, he needs to go talk. Oh, I'm not going to say it.
Looking at the draft here, Mason Graham. Shout out to Mason Graham. I think he's gonna be good in there with Myles Garrett on that defense. Linebacker Carson Schweichinger from UCLA. Quinshawn Judkins, like that pick. Harold Fannin Jr. Actually like that pick too. But then you go Dylan Gabriel, Dylan Sampson, another running back. Then you dropped another quarterback. So you dropped 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks. Man, this draft is boo-boo. But y'all got it. I do like the Mason Graham and, like I said, and Quincy Judkins. But like, what's the thought process and what you were doing here? 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and then one tight end.
When you already had Njoku, but
What you building? Go ahead, man.
I'm gonna talk about Mason Graham. They might think he's a key piece at the defensive tackle position that you could put out there with Myles Garrett, and you could dominate. I don't think he is what he was advertised to be. He may struggle. Who knows? You get Harold Fannin at the tight end position, but what's your offense gonna look like? Quinshon Judkins, can he be that bell cow running back? He was part of that 2 running back system over there with Ohio State. Sometimes that happens where you get 2 good running backs on one team, but neither one of those guys are a number 1 bell cow type back. They're both support backs. So you gotta see what you got at Quinshon Judkins. The quarterback position is crazy. I think Shedeur Sanders is ultimately going to win out over there. It's
Shit is disappointing, man. If I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I'm so disappointed in this organization. I'm so disappointed in my team. If I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns, because they ain't doing y'all no favors over there, none.
Coach, what you got with the Browns? I don't know what to say.
Shedeur Sanders, I feel sorry for you, bro.
Yeah,
I really feel sorry for you.
For all these players, man.
The first 2, they're adding on to the defense, a pretty stout defense. And I understand the thought process of Graham, who I don't think was all that. I mean, I actually think somebody was better in his defense, but okay. Hey.
Yeah, me too.
But Judkins, okay. Sampson was all right when I looked at the film, Dylan Gabriel, but I mean, he's smallish, and you need to give him an offensive line. That's the problem. And as you notice here, there's no offensive lineman in here. Remember, I said you got rid of 6. You got rid of 6, or you lost 6, brought in 3. Okay.
Yeah. So you still down 3, yeah. She's still negative, a net negative of 3.
And guess what? If they struggle and Shedeur's in there, everyone's going to blame him, and it's not going to be him. Sorry, it's not. So that's all I have to say. Back to you, NYG.
Yes. Dylan Gabriel, bro, is bro. That Cleveland weather ain't gonna be nice to him. I'm just saying, but man, whoa. Let's look at the roster. So Shedeur or Joe Flacco or Big Pat or whoever gonna be throwing them the ball. They're gonna be throwing to Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, and Deontay Johnson. I don't like that group as a group. I think Jeudy is a 2. Cedric Tillman may be a good but I mean, he's going to be a main dude. And then Deontay Johnson, you already talked about him. I don't like what they Jamari Thrash, DeAndre. I'm not too interested in what they have behind those guys either. Looking at the offensive line, DeJuan Jones is your starting left tackle. Joel Benito, I mean, he's a pretty good guard, veteran. Ethan Poick, Wyatt Taylor is your right guard. Jack Conklin, your right tackle. Jack Conklin's pretty good. Tight end, David Njoku, Harold Fannin Jr., we already talked about them. Man, this offense isn't looking very, very good. Then you're looking over at the defense. Isaiah McGuire, your left end opposite Myles Garrett. You got Malik Collins and Mason Graham in the interior. Linebacker core, Jordan Hicks, Carson Schweisinger, your rookie's going to be starting. And then you got cornerback Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Hickman, free safety, Martin Emerson Jr., right cornerback, and Greg Newsome, the second in the nickel, like Greg Newsome. But defense, it's not. It. I mean, Myles Garrett makes up for a lot, I believe, on this defense. But if they got to play a lot, they're gonna get exposed. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If they have to play a lot because this offense can't score, they're gonna get exposed. They don't have the type of defense no defense really should be out there like that. But this defense, especially, you know what I mean. Can they stop the run consistently? And again, you know, teams gonna try to run the ball, man, because they don't want Myles Garrett, you know, wrecking the game. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be key, man. But what's your thoughts on this roster for the Cleveland Browns? Can they compete with this roster, man, the division?
Defensively, they can. I think they have a pretty good defense. They got a couple of, you know, spots where some rookies are starting. Those 3 cornerbacks are pretty good. Grant Delpit and Hickman are pretty good. You know, you got the best edge rusher in the league, probably one of the best players in the league in that Myles Garrett. It's just the Browns, bro. That offense, bro. Unless Joe Flacco turns back the hands of time, I'll go ahead, coach. It's the same team. The exact same team.
Do y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? That's the toilet flushing, man. I mean, the defense, I'm not even gonna tell you, defense is cool. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and even attack. I mean, I feel confident they can compete defensively. But you leave them out there too long. But offensively, I don't know. I'm even looking at the second level of the offensive line, Zach Zinter. I mean, I remember people were talking about him. You know, I remember he was hurt. So, and Luke Whipler, right?
Whipler,
out of Ohio State. No, I said that. I said that on purpose, like that.
It's Whipler. Oh, yeah.
So he's the whipping boy, you know. I mean? So I mean, I don't know. I mean, you brought Tevin Jenkins in, and he's already on the second unit. I mean, that speaks volumes to me right there. And I'm not saying he's the greatest offensive lineman, but I don't know. I guess it depends on their schedule.
Let's take a look at the schedule here. Now, expectations are low, as they should be. Only 4.5 projected win total for the Browns. And their strength of schedule 13th in the league. 13th, so it is a gauntlet here, man. I mean, you starting off with Cincy, Baltimore in your division. Then you got Green Bay, go to Detroit and Minnesota. 3 playoff teams. Then Pittsburgh, Miami. We know Miami, a helter-skelter team, but you're going again. We talk about where the game's being played. You're going into Miami. No, they got them at home. My bad. So you catch a break there, but you go to New England, you go to the Jets, Baltimore, Vegas, San Francisco, Tennessee, Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. 4.5, man. What we doing? Can they get over 4.5, or are they gonna be right back at the top of the draft again next year?
They're being right back at the top of the draft again, bro. Oh my goodness. You got Cincinnati, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami is your first 7 games?
Might be 0-7, bro.
Then New England's on the same level field as you. The Jets on the same level field as you. Then Baltimore, the Raiders, same level field as you. San Francisco, Tennessee, Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. Damn, they did them dirty. They did the Browns dirty. Oh my goodness. Under. Under. That's all I gotta say. Under. Oh my goodness.
Coach. Can they get the 5 wins? Or are you going under?
I really thought Cincinnati was bad, but they're even worse. Under. That's it, man.
Look, man. 4.5 is a low number, but you got to understand this schedule ain't pretty, and
brutal.
and even the teams that you may have a chance at, I think, are better than you.
Yeah.
Chicago, I think, is better than you. Tennessee's better than you. San Francisco, I know, is better than you. I think New England might be better than you this year. And I think the Jets are better than you.
Man, I'm going to say this, man.
Under.
After, I think by week 7, you're going to be going with the rookie quarterbacks from there if the veterans somehow start.
This might be Kevin Stefanski's last season in Cleveland.
You're going to have no choice. You know,
I'm
Gabriel and then Shador, if Shador doesn't take the reins from the beginning. But I'm going to say this. I don't want Shador Sanders starting this season. And I'm a big Shador fan. No, there's no way in the world I want a rookie quarterback with that offensive line, that offensive system to go in there. No.
You're going to start him the last 4 games against Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati?
No. If anything, after week 7, then I put him in like to New England, New York. I gave Baltimore, but then you got Vegas, you know, so I'd rather take a chance there.
Yeah, that soft landing, because anything outside of that is smack.
Murder.
Wow.
Man, this schedule. And they had a top draft pick and got a schedule like this. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because that first 7 games is a gauntlet. Do you see them winning any one of those games?
It's the 13th hardest schedule. And I'm sitting here looking at this like, how is that the 13th hardest?
Maybe they get one against Miami. Maybe they shock Cincinnati in the first game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, that is.
You got a shot with Cincinnati. But again, Cleveland don't match up well with Cincinnati, and that I'm thinking about it because they can't score.
Yep.
And your defense might put up a fight, but eventually they're gonna break and they're gonna just run up the score on you. It's over for the Browns, man. They headed for the top 5, I believe. Top 5 pick in the NFL draft next year. And to be honest with you, you better hope Shador or Dylan or one of these quarterbacks work out so you don't have to chase the quarterback thing next year because you're going to be right back up there in the hunt. But that's going to conclude our preview show here. The AFC North. And this division, y'all, won't come down to Baltimore. I think it's Baltimore's to be had. You know, I definitely see Pittsburgh competing, but the Browns and the Bengals, I ain't got no confidence in either one of these teams. I think they got reverse problems. The Browns can't score and the Bengals can't stop nobody. Both of them teams is just too one-sided. And so to me, you know, when you balance it out, Pittsburgh's more balanced and Baltimore's definitely a lot more balanced with their roster. So to wrap it up, man, that's Baltimore's division. I got them on top, man. What y'all think?
Yeah, when it comes to the AFC North between the Ravens and the Steelers, and I got the Ravens on top. And the Ravens might get 12 to 13 wins this year. With the Steelers might sneak in there with 10, and the Bengals being around 10-9, and the Browns, man, I just think they get stoned. I truly believe they're gonna get stoned, bro. That schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
Like,
and now looking at that, I'm changing my over under. I'm going over for the Ravens because I didn't know it was that bad. And really with Cincinnati, I didn't know Cincinnati was that bad, bro.
Yeah. This just goes to show you, man, that these shows are pretty good to do, man. You get a full view of what these teams are going into this season, and this has been dope. I have what I need to know about each team going into this season, and when it happens, it's going to happen, and I know why, because we previewed them before yeah. The Bengals are one injury away from being where the Browns are, and Joe Burrow. That's a fact. This is the Ravens division to have. They don't have no mishaps. They could easily get 12 to 13 wins.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the Ravens winning this division, and I don't think it's going to be close.
Coach.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, man. This is all about Baltimore, and just coming in, staying focused, and doing what they got to do. Pittsburgh will be competitive. The other two, man, they're battling for a top draft pick, and maybe Cincinnati will probably be in the top 10, the bottom part of the top 10, but Cleveland will be in the top 1 to 3.
Yeah,
I mean, looking at these rosters, looking at the schedule, thinking about it, it's now that I got the full gamut of everything, so I was disgusted with Cincinnati, but I'm disheartened by Cleveland, man. I'm truly disheartened by Cleveland, man, because it's
no hope.
They're you can't. I don't like saying this because they have some good players over there, but I'm not even confident they're an NFL team, to be honest with you, against some major college programs. And that's big because I don't normally do that. I don't normally agree with that, and that's because of their offense. That's really because of their offense, so it's just bad. Cleveland is just bad right now, seriously. I didn't think it was that bad, but Shador, love you, brother. I feel sorry for you.
Good luck, cuz.
Good luck, man, because he is going to need it, man. And what you guys need to do is hit that like, hit that subscribe, man. Feel the vibe, man. We are the Aboriginal Sports Network, and we got some more of these to do, man. We coming back. Next up, the AFC East. We coming over to the East, man, with the preview shows, man. So y'all stay tuned for that, man. Yeah, y'all stay tuned. East side, baby. You know what I'm saying? Where we reside. You know what I mean? But till next time, holla. Peace.